breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
Hey, warm friendly hello. Welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. We've got an excellent podcast for you, as we're going to be joined in segment number 2 by one of our good friends, William Boor, who does such great work over at Action Network. I know that he's dialed into a little bit of everything from baseball to the upcoming football season, what we're all seeing in the FIFA World Cup, and so much more. We have to talk to him about the fact that, man, this landscape out there in the American League is about as clear as mud right now. If there's any teams that you think might be able to ascend, how he's just taking a look at these teams in general. They're all jumbled up for playoff spots, and then we'll be taking a look at the card that we've got for Monday in the final segment. Going to get you guys picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, whatever for this podcast, you have one of two ways we'll fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at @GUnit_81. Keep in mind, LRCM, the email does not matter, so as per usual, please send these into the timeline. And the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. And then from there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. Well, I did not get in any Twitter/X questions today. Boy, did we have a fun day of baseball on Sunday. Let's take a look back at it. Try to find some trends and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
In 10 innings, the Houston Astros get the job done by a count of 7-5 over the Tigers. The Astros just 2 games below 500. Don't look now, but they are sneaking up. And Hunter Brown wasn't even amazing in this start. 3 runs, 2 of which were earned, given up in 6 innings. Was taken deep by Zach McKinstry, 3rd home run of the campaign. Then in extra innings, Spencer Torkelson goes deep off of Año de los Santos, who's been awful. 13th home run season, de los Santos. 2 runs, 1 of which was earned, given up in the 10th inning. Rest of the bullpen was good, though. Brian Abreu, pair of outside the bullpen squirrels, Stephen Okert, and out himself, squirrels, Brian King, Josh Hader. They both give you a shutout inning, and for the Tigers, 1-10 with men in scoring position, and he had the under in this game, 3-3 going into the 10th inning, and then it becomes overwhelming as Captain Jack Flaherty, very good in the start. 5 shutout innings, 9 strikeouts, and then the bullpen made a mess of things. Tyler Holden, 5 outs, he gives up 2 unearned runs. Cole Keith hurt him out there in the field with an error, and then was taken deep by Raynel Delgado, his first home run as an Astro. Congratulations there. Kyle Finnegan later on gives up a solo home run to Isaac Paredes, 11th home run season, gives up 1 run in a 1 1/3 innings, and then Kenley Jansen, 4 runs, 3 of which were earned in the 9th and 10th innings as he was cranked deep by Christian Walker, 19th home run season. Jacob Waguez back from there, a pair of outside the bullpen squirrels, but too little too late, and the Tigers are now 14 games below 500. The Washington Nationals are back above 500, 6-4. They take down the Baltimore Orioles. They're now 7-4 in the last 11 games that Zach Littell pitches in. Wasn't too bad. 2 runs allowed over the course of 5 innings, was cranked deep by Pete Alonso, 19th home run season. Jackson Alday a little bit later on off of Mitchell Parker, and Parker gives up 2 runs in 1 2/3 innings. He gets his 5th home run of the campaign. Richard Dickey, love leading out of the bullpen. PJ Poulin, 2 shutout innings to close the door, and Kyle Bradish gives up 1 in 4 innings, but he gives up 4 runs, 3 of which were earned because he gave up 5 walks. And then from there, you would have Luis Garcia get his 15th home run season. Tyler Wells gives up that home run, only charged with 1 run because he inherited a lot of runners from Bradish. And then Albert Suarez, he gives up a solo home run to Mr. Luis Garcia again. 16th home run season. He would give up just 1 run in 3 innings. Grant Wolf from a scoreless inning, but too little too late from there. The Walker Texas Rangers, they get a 3-2 win over the Toronto Blue Jays. As for the Rangers, Kumar Rocker not rocked, 6 shutout innings. From there, Cole Winn does give up 2 runs over the course of 2 innings, gives up home run to Nathan Lukes, 4th home run in the campaign, but Tyler Alexander closes the door, a shutout inning there. And Shane Bieber, he had a fever for getting outs, 2 runs allowed in 5 1/3 innings, looks much better here. Jock Peterson, 13th home run of the season. Alex Manco from there. For outside the bullpen squirrels, same for Jeff Hoffman. And then Louis Varland, who's been amazing out of the bullpen. He takes a loss. He gives up a run in the 9th inning as Jared Kelnick scores on a wild pitch. So that was a wild game. And what else has been wild has been the lack of scoring for the Cleveland Guardians recently. But they get back Jay Slaughter on Sunday and they get a 6-5 win over the Seattle Mariners. Emerson Hancock, solid start. 1 run allowed in 5 2/3 innings. Edward Bizarro went out of the bullpen squirrels. Gabe Spire scoreless inning. And then Martin Rucker just got rocked. 4 runs allowed in a third of an inning. And then you have Josh Simpson give up a run in 2/3 of an inning as the Guardians, they strand 12 men on base, but they go 4 of 13 with men in scoring position. And for the Mariners, they strand 14 men on base. Gavin Williams, 3 runs, 2 of which were earned in 5 innings. From there, Sean Armstrong gives up a run in 2/3 of an inning to Marin Lowe's shutout inning. Matt Festa, he had a fiesta, 4 outside the bullpen squirrels, and then Cade Smith gives up an unearned run in the 9th inning as he was hurt by a pair of errors. But It was enough for the Guardians to get back to 44-40. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, it's been a wobbly season for them, but they're back to 500, 9-4. They take down the Cincinnati Reds as Brady Singer. He was singing the blues. 5 runs allowed and 4 1/3 innings. Cranked deep twice in this game as Ryan O'Hearn, 12th home run of the campaign, and Troy Callahan gets his 3rd home run season. A little bit later on, you would have Emmanuel Valdez get his 5th home run of the campaign as Pierce Johnson gives up 4 runs in 2/3 of an inning. You would also give up a home run to Ryan O'Hearn, 2nd of the game, 13th of the season, and you would also have in this game Zach McKembley coming for an out of the bullpen scoreless, Brock and Roll Burke 4 out scoreless, and Julian Garcia, he was able to give you 4 out scoreless, but too little too late, and Mitch Keller, not amazing, 4 runs, 3 of which were earned. Well, he was hurt by an error by Brandon Lau out there in the field, but Garmin Molzinski, 2 shutout innings, and then Dennis Santana, scoreless ninth inning to be able to close the door there. The Mets just continue to lose. 5-4, the Philadelphia Phillies get the win here as Jesus Luzardo doesn't lend a ton of length, but he was solid. 1 run allowed over the course of 5 innings. Chase Shoger from there made a mess of things. 3 runs allowed in 1/3 of an inning. Gives up a home run to A.J. Ewan. 4th home run of the campaign for the Mets to go 2 of 16 with men in scoring position. They leave 14 men on base. Not great. Kyle Bach gets a pair of outside the bullpen squirrels. Jose Alvarado, Orion Kerkering, Yohan Duran all lend a squirrel setting, and Cino Perez, the opener. Shutout inning there. Tobias Myers, he had 3 innings of bulk. He gives up 3 runs. And Kodai Senga, well, this was his best outing of the year. He gives up 2 runs over the course of 5 innings, and he gives up home run to Kyle Schwarber. A Schwarbomb for his 30th home run in the season. Also on pace for about 250 strikeouts this season. And the Miami Marlins, they've actually been your best team in the month of June record-wise, but they do fall here 2-1 to the St. Louis Cardinals. Kyle Leahy, he does his part. 1 run allowed over the course of 5 innings. From there, Jojo Romero, Ryan Stanek combined for 2 shutout innings. George Soriano, Riley O'Brien, scoreless 8th and 9th innings. And Tyler Phillips, a tough luck loser. 2 runs allowed over the course of 7 1/3 innings. He was taken deep by Mr. Brian Torres, his 3rd home run of the campaign. From there, you were able to get a pair of outside the bullpen scoreless from Kate Gibson, but just not a lot doing on the offensive side of things for the Milwaukee Brewers. They fall to the Chicago Cubs, 4-3 the final. For the Cubbies, they were able to get a nice bulk appearance here from Bryce Wilson. 4 1/3 innings scoreless after Ryan Rolson as the opener gives up a home run to Gary Sanchez, 8th home run of the season. Cale Theobar, scoreless inning. Tyler Ferguson, pair of outside the bullpen scoreless, and Jacob Webb, scoreless inning. Did have Ethan Roberts give up 2 runs, 1 of which was earned in the 10th inning, but Jordan Wicks, he comes in for a scoreless 10th inning to be able to lower his ERA to 13.50. That's not a place where you want to be. Brandon Woodruff, he was great. 1 hit allowed in 5 2/3 innings scoreless. From there, the bullpen makes a mess out of things. Aaron Ashby, he gives up a run in 2/3 of an inning. Abner Uribe, 5 outside the bullpen scoreless. Trevor McGill, a scoreless inning, and then Joel Kuhnel, 3 runs, 2 of which weren't. So the Cubs, they find a way to be able to get that one in, and the Angels, they get this one in. 4-1, they take down the Athletics. As for the Athletics, they could not hit Sam Etagere. 1 run allowed over the course of 5 innings. From there, Jose Fermin, 2 shutout innings. Ryan Zefrian, Samuel Natera, they combine for 8th and 9th innings. Scoreless, Aaron Savali gives up a grand slam to Josh Lowe. He gets Lowe for his 6th home run in the campaign. Savali very much on the regression train right now. Elvis Alvarado was in the building for a scoreless inning, and then Jose Suarez, scoreless 8th and 9th innings, but too little too late out there. And for the Colorado Rockies, they cool down with their offense. 3-2, the Minnesota Twins find a way to persevere here. As for the Twins, Connor Prelip, 10 punch-outs, gives up 2 runs over the course of 6 innings. From there, you had Andrew Morris give 4 outs out of the bullpen scoreless, Anthony Banda, pair of outs scoreless, and Yandris Gomez, scoreless 9th inning. Ryan Feldner wasn't too bad in this game. 2 runs, 1 of which was earned in 6 innings of work, was taken deep by Cody Clemens, 13th home run season, then Ryan Kreidler, 5th home run season off of Seth Alverson, who gives up that home run in 2/3 of an inning. Brendan Bernardino, and out of the bullpen scoreless, and Juan Mejia was able to give you a scoreless 8th inning. For the Atlanta Braves, they've been having some issues recently. The Giants get the job done here by a count of 3-2 as Robbie Reyes had hit Pepper Ray to a great start. 1 unearned run, give it up in 8 innings. Matt Chapman had an error out there in the field, go figure. And then Caleb Killian, he does give up a run in the 9th inning, but closes the door. And for Chris Sale, he takes a loss even though he was solid in this game. 2 runs, 1 of which was earned, give it up in 6 innings, hurt by a pair of errors out there in the field. You had DDA Fuentes from there, give up a run in 1/3 of an inning. Dylan Lee, 2/3 of an inning, he gives up nothing. And Tyler Kinley, scoreless inning, but not a lot doing for the Atlanta Braves at the plate. So good win there for the Giants. And the Royals, well, they have been royally awful this year. They've been at the bottom of the American League, but they find a way to persevere over the Chicago White Sox. 5-4 the final. Anthony Kay, this was not okay. 5 runs, 4 of which weren't in 3 2/3 innings. Bullpen from there was really good. Sir Anthony Dominguez, Brian Hudson both give you a scoreless inning. Trevor Richards, 4 outside the bullpen scoreless. Jordan Hicks, 4 outside the bullpen scoreless. Chris Murphy was able to give you a pair of outs as well without giving up a run. And Luinder Avila, 4 runs allowed over the course of 4 innings and was cranked deep. This was home run number 19 13 of the season for Miguel Vargas. From there, a Royals bullpen that has been royally terrible. They got the job done. Beck Way, Steven Cruz, Lucas Ursich, Matt Strom, Alex Lang, all able to give you a scoreless inning. The LA Dodgers, they find a way to get the win here, 4-2 over the Slam Diego Padres. As for the Padres, Michael King was not the king. 4 runs allowed in 4 1/3 innings. From there, Yuki Matsui, 5 outs of the bullpen scoreless. Jason Adams, scoreless inning. Wandy Peralta, 2 shutout innings. But Emmett Sheehan was on his game. He does give up a home run to Manny Machado, 15th home run season. Gives up just that home run over the course of 5 innings. Alex Vesia, pair of outs out of the bullpen. He allows a run, but you had Will Klein give you a scoreless inning. Edgar Enriquez, scoreless ninth to be able to get the save. And Tanner Scott, he was able to come in for a scoreless inning of his own for the Tampa Bay Rays. They get the series win over the Arizona Diamondbacks, 5-1. They take down the Saints. As for the Diamondbacks, they're back below 500. It's Merrill Kelly, 5 runs allowed over the course of 6 innings. Take it deep 3 times. Cedric Mullins, 8th home run season. You would have Ben Williamson get a 2nd home run season. Junior Caminero, 22nd of the year. Jonathan Loaizaga, Dre Jemison from there, both give you a shutout inning. And Drew Rasmussen, he gives up nothing in 6 shutout innings. Craig Kimbrell was able to give you a scoreless inning. You did have Garrett Clevenger give up a home run to Ketel Marte of the Marte Parte, 15th home run of the season, but of the sole variety. And then from there, Trevor Martin, he was able to give you a scoreless inning. And on Sunday Night Baseball, we did see the Boston Red Sox be able to persevere over the New York Yankees. This by a count of 2-0. As for Carlos Rodon, I needed his part. 2 unearned runs given up in 5 innings. He was hurt by an error out there in the field, ironically enough, first of the season by Oswaldo Cabrera. And then from there, things go totally off the rails as Sonny Gray on the flip side, he had taken a no-hitter into the 8th inning, pulled after 7 1/3 innings, and he had given up his first hit. From there, you were able to get a pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless from Teheran Guerrero, but Aroldis Chapman gives up the 2-0 lead in the 9th inning, gives up 2 runs, only one of which was earned because Wilder Abreu was terrible out there in the field. 2 awful throwing errors that led to runs as Justin Slayton in the 10th inning. He gave up 2 unearned runs, and the Yankees bullpen had done their part. While Blackburn, 2 shutout innings. David Benner does not poop the Benner, 2 scoreless innings. And then Fernando Cruz, going into the 10th inning with a 4-2 lead, gives up 3 runs, 2 of which were earned. As for the Red Sox, Jaron Duran walks it off with an RBI single as a season 280 on base percentage. So wild and crazy game. If you, like me, had the under, one of the worst beats that you're going to find this baseball season. And if you're taking a look at trend-wise, what we are getting in Major League Baseball right now, it has been an underwhelming last 7 days. 55 unders of 41 overs. That's 57.3% to the under. Favorites on the money line hitting at 54.8% in this timeline. 51 and 42. And among those 51 favorites, only 34 been able to cover the run line. Overall for the season, favorites are hitting at 55.5%. 675 and 542. Meanwhile, if you're looking at those favorites covering the run line, a grand total of 162 have failed to do so. And the over in baseball, 50.4%. 615 overs, 606 unders, and if math serves me correct, 32 pushes along the way. So that's what we're seeing in baseball right now, and that's what we're getting trend-wise. Coming next, how about if we do chat it up with our good friend William Boor of Action Network right here on the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the Beats and Family Podcast.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the Beats and Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by this man, as we've got William Boor aboard. He does such great work over at Action Network. Taking a look at this great game that we all know and love of baseball. Doing a great job on so many different fronts. As World Cup fever is upon us, we are into the round of 32. They're doing great work there. Before we know it, we're going to have football, college football, and the NFL back in our lives. They do a great job on that front and so much more. And you're able to follow him on the old Twitter/X at the letter W and his last name Boor, Boor, on that last name. And William, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much.
Of course, Greg. Always happy to hop on, talk baseball, talk betting with you.
Absolutely. And William, I feel like I've asked you this question a few times, but I'm going to ask it again. What do we make out of this just mess of an American League right now? Because I still feel like the Yankees are the top team out there, but less than savory series against the Red Sox, regardless of what happens on Sunday Night Baseball. We're doing this prior to that. They lose this series, and it just feels like nobody wants to fade in the abyss aside from maybe the Angels, and there's really no good teams out there.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Yankees at this point have lost 3 in a row. Maybe they snap that tonight. Maybe they get the 1, but it doesn't really matter materially. They're still probably the best team. We know baseball is obviously a very long season. A 3-game sample size is not going to make or break anything. But if we're doing this every week, the 3 games are what we have to talk about. So it's interesting that they haven't been able to separate themselves. If I'm a Yankees fan or I have Yankees futures or anything like that, there's nothing, worth sweating over big picture wise. But you're right. This AL is kind of a mess. The Yankees, we just mentioned, kind of slipped a little bit. Toronto can't get anything going right now. They've lost 6 straight. Like, that's just rough. Tampa Bay is hanging around. I think Tampa Bay is probably better than I've given them credit for all year. They're probably more of a legit contender than I really thought. Seattle, I still like them in the AL West, but they're not kind of putting it away and like commanding that division the way I thought they would, which brings me to another surprise, like hello, Texas. I mean, you're right. The AL Central, I don't know if any of those teams are legitimate threats. I don't know. It's all kind of just a jumbled mess. I mean, I wouldn't have projected, the White Sox and the Guardians to be battling out for the division lead or anything like that. The AL is just a very, very weird league right now.
Yep, it definitely is. Man, I have never seen a much more weak league in my life than the American League right now. And is there maybe a team or two that you think outside of the Yankees might be able to rise up a little bit? Because I still keep clinging on to the Blue Jays, but it's been rough for them recently. I've been looking at the Rangers, but again, it's been rough for them too. Though I do feel like with the Rangers, that offense might finally be starting to click a little bit with Wyatt Langford and Corey Seager getting back in there.
Yeah, I'm with you there. You get some big bats there, short series. You get Jacob deGrom, maybe 1-2 starts in a series like that. If Eovaldi can become the guy that, he has been in the past. I think there's stuff there. You can definitely talk yourself into it, but you're doing a lot of kind of talking and projecting and, ooh, maybe if this happens, ooh, I could see it. Kumar Rocker throws a good start. I don't know. Like, you're starting to do a lot of like weird stuff that I don't know if I necessarily buy all of it to happen. But if you tell me like 3 of those 5 things happen or something like that, then maybe.
Yeah, I mean, man, it has been a wild picture to say the least, and going to be a lot of fun to see what happens there as William Boor does great work over at Action Network. He's joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show, and then you're out there in the great state of Arizona, and now they are below 500. Eduardo Rodriguez versus Tyler Mahle is the pitching matchup for Monday, -130 to -135 on the Diamondbacks. How you take a look at both this game and the Diamondbacks moving forward, because I mentioned this on social media yesterday, and I'll say it with you. Man, the starting pitching has been underwhelming, and Eduardo Rodriguez, the bright spot, I just fear so much regression with him.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're right. Things have not been good over the past week or two with the Diamondbacks, but the one person who has been good all year is Eduardo Rodriguez. So if you want to stop the skid, giving him the ball on Monday night is the way to go. But I'm with you. It's kind of scary backing him. You're not sure if regression's about to hit or if he's just going to turn in his career year. That's always kind of dicey when you have players who are performing well above like their career totals. But I mean, if we're looking at Rodriguez and we take out everything else, we just look at this year, 1 run over 13 2/3 innings over his past 2 starts, 1 earned run or fewer in 4 of 5 starts this month. Over the season, 16 starts, 2.27 ERA. I mean, he's definitely been the bright spot in this rotation. He's throwing the ball really well. Diamondbacks at home against a Giants team that's also not that good. I'm going to be on Arizona on Monday for sure. I really do like this spot, but I totally get the hesitation and worried that regression monster is coming. And on that note, I wouldn't necessarily be shocked if you told me, Rodriguez only lasted until the 3rd and gave up 6 runs or something. I'd be like, well, it was a matter of time before he kind of had that blow up start. I'm just hoping it's, not Monday when I've got my money on him.
Exactly, and I think 2 things can be true. I also back the Diamondbacks on the money line, but also like the over because I just don't think he's maintaining this sub 230 ERA. He has pitched to a lot too much contact that I can feel great about. But Tyler Mahle, he has been not so tremendous either. A man that is tremendous, though, William Boor, he joins me right here on the Baseball Betting Show, and this one I think is an interesting one because right now we've got the Phillies against the Pirates with the Phillies slim -108, -115 favorites, total of 8.5. I want to get your thoughts here because Aaron Nola, in my opinion, has been overpriced for years. Braxton Ashcraft, I know it's been a little bit more wobbly for him over the last few starts, but I've loved what I've seen out of him. And personally, being able to get around even money, -105, the Pirates are calling my name on Monday.
See, I don't disagree with anything you said there, but I kind of looked at it the other way. I'm with you. I'm not the biggest Aaron Nola fan in the world. Ashcraft is throwing the ball well, But if we're getting this game around even money, I like the Phillies, the rest of the roster better. They're starting to hit the ball a little better. We're recording this on Sunday. Schwarber went deep again. They scored 5 more runs. Like, I think if I can get an okay Nola, and I'm hoping, the rest of that team can kind of score, and I'm looking for maybe a Phillies over sort of thing where I get a team that's won 7 of their past 10 and has a lot of good hitters in the lineup. And I was hoping to kind of back the Phillies that way because they're a team that's got a lot of star power and you don't usually get them at this short of a number. But I'm with you, the Nola part, that's the part I definitely don't like.
And how do you take a look at the Phillies moving forward? Because they've actually carved their way back into that National League East race with the Braves dropping a few games. And the way I look at the Phillies is that they're a very top-heavy team. You got Brian Marsh, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, and not a whole lot else in the lineup. And then Christopher Sanchez has been amazing. You don't know what you're going to get out of Jesus Luzardo, but their top guys, I would say their top 7, top 8, match pretty much anyone in all of baseball. I just don't know if the rest of the roster is going to come along for the ride.
Yeah, but I think they have enough there, barring some sort of big injury. I mean, if you told me in spring training that the NL East was a 2-horse race between the Braves and the Phillies, I don't think anyone would have been shocked. We would have all been like, okay, we can see that coming. Now, if you told me that, 2 or 3 weeks into the season, everyone would have been like, what are you talking about? The Phillies are awful. So I think the way the Phillies are playing now is kind of the team that some of us thought we were going to see all season. And the fact that they're only 3 games back, given, the deficit they put themselves in, is really impressive. So if you take those, first 3 weeks off, they're obviously the best team in the division, but, those 3 weeks still count. So you can't do that, but it does show kind of the ceiling of this team. And you're right. I would put that team up there with everyone. Is there a lack of depth? Maybe is there some dim spots in the bottom of the order? Sure. But stars win in October, and this team has plenty of stars if it can get there.
Yep, and it's going to be interesting to see how they work moving forward because Donnie Baseball has certainly been able to turn that team around, and that has been massive for them. And then I take a look at this one being a fun one between the Yankees and the Tigers. I just always love fading teams coming off of Sunday Night Baseball. We don't know if the Yankees will have won or lost while recording this podcast, but Ryan Weathers going against Casey Mize, and with Mize and the Tigers, they're right around plus 120. Want to get your thoughts here because I do think that Sunday Night Baseball game does impact those teams that play on Monday, and I really like the way that Casey Mize is throwing right now for the Tigers.
Absolutely with you on this. You're right. So the Yankees will have either lost 4 in a row or lost 3 of 4. Either way, they're not playing super sharp. They're going to be at the rest disadvantage playing the late game when everyone else plays a day game on Sunday. And Casey Mize has been throwing the ball really well. Obviously, as a whole, the Yankees are the better team in this game. But in this spot, the Tigers have a lot of advantages, and I think they have the starting pitching edge as well.
Yep, absolutely. And then the other team will be playing after Sunday Night Baseball as well. That'd be the Red Sox and the Washington Nationals. No doubt about it, Ranger Suarez, better pitcher in this game, going against Miles Michaelis. But with the Red Sox, they're minus 190 at home. For the Red Sox, they're more than 10 games below 500 at home. I want to get your thoughts because the one thing that I've noticed throughout the season in terms of home and road splits with random teams has been the Red Sox. The fact that they have played much worse at Fenway rather than away from home, and it's one of the most shocking splits I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Fenway in a couple weeks. I'm going to have to remember this. But you're right. And I also just, looking at this price in general, that's a lot to lay with a team that's sub 500, a team of the Red Sox caliber. If I'm laying just shy of $2 on a team, it's probably better be the Dodgers. Maybe the Braves at home against the Rockies, stuff like that. I just never want to lay that number with the Red Sox, especially against the Nationals offense that's capable of, I don't really care who's starting on the other team. The Nationals offense is capable of putting up 7 on anyone. Now, they're obviously just as capable of giving up 12 on themselves, but if they're going to score 5, 6, 7 runs, it makes every game very interesting, and I don't want to be in a game that's that interesting if I've laid 190.
Yep, absolutely. And then I do have to bring up this one as well because I just saw this come onto the board, and I don't know if they just gave us a bad opener or what, but we've got the Miami Marlins going against Colorado Rockies. Sandy Alcantara, we know will go for Miami. A lot of places are assuming Sean Sullivan for the Rockies. could be someone else, but I don't care who goes for the Rockies. Right now, the Miami Marlins are minus 122 in this spot. Recognize that they're going to Coors Field, but the Marlins have the most wins of any team in all of baseball in June. You've got Sandy Alcantara on the bump at minus 122. Any pitcher against the Rockies, I'm willing to back him here.
Yes, I hadn't seen that number yet. That's a very good point. If I can get south of, 125 against the Rockies on pretty much any day, there's very, very few instances where I'm just not going to take that.
Yep, I mean, especially with a team like the Miami Marlins, where I don't know what you've made out of them, and it's not even all Sandy Alcantara or anything like that. I've been very surprised by how they've been able to perform in June, and they've been able to lend a lot of value all month long.
Exactly. Yeah, this isn't, peak Sandy. This isn't the guy that was, always in Cy Young conversation like that, but he's still a good pitcher, and there's a lot of other people stepping up on this team. You're right. This is a good team that's kind of flown a little bit under the radar all year, but I mean, they're 4 games over 500. They're playing really well on the whole, and especially this month. This is a good spot for Miami.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I was very surprised to see a minus 122 out there, and that one definitely called my name. And is there anything else that you're taking a look at on this Monday? Because typically it's a travel day for a lot of teams, but we've actually got 13 games, which in my opinion is really solid for a Monday. Anything else that really just stood out to you?
Possibly, may need to see some weather, but looking kind of at the over in Padres Cubs with Griffin Canning and Schultz.
I'm seeing a total of 12.
Okay. I wonder, I haven't looked at the forecast. I wonder if that's where it's at.
Oh, it is blowing out, and it is blowing out hard.
Okay, because 12's high, but neither of those pitchers are exactly shutdown starters. I'll have to do a little more digging into that, but I could see myself getting on that. AL West is interesting. The Mariners kind of been not great of late, so I want to see how they look tomorrow. I might not be on it. I mean, my favorite spot on the board tomorrow, we've already talked about, is the Diamondbacks. I'm going to be on that, and we'll just see kind of where else the day goes. But otherwise, for me, on Monday, it's going to be a small baseball betting day, and then probably a lot of soccer, to be honest.
Yeah, super hot temperatures out there in Wrigley Field as well. Mid to high 80s late night, 13 to 15 mile per hour winds, and total of 12. So probably going to be seeing a lot of runs out there, and a man that always produces a lot of scoring with a bunch of winners is you, William. You do such a great job on the baseball front. You mentioned you're doing a great job taking a look at the soccer scene with the World Cup going down. Heck, I know you guys are going to have the hot dog eating contest covered in a week or so as well. Let the good people at home know it's all tap for you and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
Of course, you can find me on Twitter/X and Blue Sky at WBoor. You can follow me in the Action Network app at William Boor _ all one word. That'll be just the picks, just the bets. You don't have to get any of the other, nonsense that's on social media. Be sure to check out actionnetwork.com, download the app, see not only what I'm doing, but what all of my colleagues are doing. We've got baseball betting guides every single day for every single game. We've got home run props. We've got stuff for every World Cup game. Like you said, college football, NFL is right around the corner. We will have hot dog eating contest stuff if you want to bet on that, which it's always worth, throwing a little bit on just for some fun. All sorts of good stuff. So follow along and let's hopefully make some money.
Absolutely, and with the hot dog eating contest, it's going to be very interesting to see how Joey Chestnut performs. I know he needed like a waiver to be able to get into the hot dog eating contest this year for what happened away from the table. They always say away from the field and stuff like that. We're going to use away from the table in terms of hot dog eating contests, but William is doing a great job of being able to cover it all every single time he joins me. Lends such great insight. So big thanks to William for joining me on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Coming up next, it is that time of the podcast to give you picks and analysis of the game on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here, lovely Las Vegas, for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by William Boor. Does such great work over at Action Network. Every single time he joins me, lends such great insights. Did so once again today. So big thanks to William for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast to give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that as per usual, any changes that are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at gunit_81. We're we're going to be going in Las Vegas rotation order. This is where we go with the National League games first in time order, then the American League games also in time order. Any intra-league games, those are going to be at the bottom. That'll keep things all nice, neat, clean, and easy. So, but if we get things started, this is 9:51, 9:52 on the card. It is the Pirates. They walk the plank. They're going to be going to Philadelphia to face off against the Phillies as Aaron Nola hopes to be super for the Phils, and Braxton Ashcraft hopes to not be a load of Ashcraft for the Pirates. Pirates between -102 to a -105, -110 to -115 for the Phillies. 8.5 is the total. Under is -110 to a -115. Over is -105 to a -110. And I do like the over. I did set my total at an 8.9. You've had for the Philadelphia Phillies, Kyle Schwarber get on pace for 60 plus home runs and also on pace for 250 plus strikeouts. It's absolutely insane what we've been seeing there. He and Bryce Harper have been a really good tag team. Harper, he's been able to give you 18 plus home runs, over a 360 on base, and then Brandon Marsh is moving the line. He's been able to hit above a 300. What are you getting outside of that, though? Like Trey Turner, Alec Boehm, Bryson Stott, the catcher spot, all hitting below a 236 in the infield, and then in the outfield, you've not gotten anything out of the likes of Adolis Garcia and company, and for the flip side, you've been able to have the Pirates be really good on offense. They're a top 5 team in terms of run creation as they've been dealing with the injury to Oneil Cruz, but now you get Colton Griffin back off the injury list, and he had a home run in the previous series against the Reds. He's up to a 330 on base. Brandon Lau is getting loud. He's been able to give you 19 plus home runs. Ryan O'Hearn is up to 13 bombs with about a 340 on base. Nick Gonzalez hitting just below 300. Brian Reynolds along with Spencer Horwitz above a 350 on base as well. So I like the way that they're rounding into form. Both teams can be a little bit hit or miss with their bullpen as well. For the Pirates, are in the bottom half of the big leagues with this regard is Dennis Santana. He's supplying an ERA that's well above a 4. You don't mess with the Yohan Ramirez has been messed with along Mason Montgomery, though. Evan Sisk, Gregory Soto, they've been solid, although Soto did blow that game a few days ago against the Reds. Meanwhile, for the Philadelphia Phillies, two very good, trustworthy relievers in Orion Kerkering along with Yohan Duran. Both of these guys have gone out there, done their job, and they've been able to give you sub-3 ERA. Tim Mesa has been relatively okay along Chase Shogurt as well, but so roll the dice with those guys, and I just can't trust an Aaron Nola. 1.9 home runs, 3 walks per 9 innings allowed, 5.58 ERA. Meanwhile, for Braxton Ashcraft, he has been pretty superb this far this season as his strikeouts per 9 rate is hovering in that neighborhood about a 9. He's not getting hit very hard. 3.07 ERA, 2.84 fielding depends, 0.7 home runs allowed per 9 innings. Do think that the Pirates get the job done with a better starter. I like this over, so I might tell it at 80.9. And for the Pirates, willing to lay up to -115 on that money line. 9.53, 9.54 on the card. The Cincinnati Reds, yes, we're on to Cincinnati. They're onto the road facing off against the Milwaukee Brewers as Robert Gasser goes for the Crew, and Nick Lodolo is on the bump for the Reds, and the Reds do find themselves as a pretty good-sized underdog here between +128 to a +135, -150 to -156. That number on the Crew. 8.5 is the total. Over is -110 to a -120. Under is even to -110. If you're looking to lay a run out for the Brewers, seeing as good as a +150, as bad as a +140, and I'm in on that run line. I was willing to take a +112 or better. I just do not trust in Nick Lodolo in the start. He has been rough all season long. Again, this season on the injury list has not rounded in form. 5.59 ERA, 1.5 home runs, 3.5 walks per 9 innings, and faces off against the Brewers lineup that is third in the league in scoring with about 5.2 runs per game. Even with not a lot of power for the Brewers, are a bottom 8 team in terms of home runs out of prior bat bases. Jake Bauers with his 14 home runs, he leads the way, but this team does such an incredible job in terms of finding a way on base. Bryce Terang, he gives you a bunch of stolen bases. He's been able to give you about a 360 on base. Jake Bauers, who I mentioned before, 370 on base. Even Gary Sanchez has given you a 360 on base. Cooper Pratt, since getting called up to the big league level, been a little bit of a slog for him, but you know that he's going to round into form. William Contreras is hitting at 300. Christian Yelich has been solid since coming off the injury list along Jackson Chourio. For the Brewers, this has been a team that has been in the upper half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. I know that you had Abner Uribe and Trevor McGill both get off to really rough starts to the season, but both of these guys have rounded into form. Both are down below a 365 with their ERA. You're getting Jared Koenig off the injury list. Chad Patrick got roughed up in the previous series, but all in all, I do like what I'm seeing out of the bullpen of the Milwaukee Brewers, and for the Reds, they continue to be a bottom 8 team in terms of bullpen ERA. It's gotten a little bit better ever since Caleb Ferguson came off the injury list, as he, Pierce Johnson, Sam Ball, our veterans are able to give you a sub-4 ERA. Brock and Burke has been okay as well, but Chase Petty, not a guy that you really want to be relying upon too much. Julian Garcia is a guy that they're looking to for some relief, a guy that at 31 years old has just bounced around, and for the Brewers, you've got a guy in Gasser who just has not really found it at the big league level this year, and his cups of coffee at the big league level the previous 2 years was relatively solid, but 4.50 ERA, 1.8 home runs, 3.5 walks allowed per 9 innings, and for the Reds, it does feel like they're starting to round into form with their offense, getting back Ellie De La Cruz off the injury list with his 340 on base, double-figure amount of homers is big. Cousin Sal Stewart, JJ Bleday, both above a 340 on base, both have been able to give you 13-plus home runs, and Eugenio Suarez has been a little bit rough, but had that big winning home run against the Pirates a few days ago, and then Nathaniel Lowe, 345 on base. You've got a few other guys who have been mix and match guys. The catcher spot has been a little bit rough, but all of a sudden you've got someone like an Edwin Arroyo being able to move the line. So do think that you get plenty of scoring here. Semi-total 9.2. I like the over-end for the Brewers. Willing to lay a run half on that run line. Willing to take a plus 113 or better. 955, 956 on the card. It's the Padres. They're going to be on the road against the Chicago Cubs. As right now for the Padres, it's officially listed as to be determined, but that said, it should be Griffin Canning here. Going against Shota Imanaga and the Cubs. Cubs are minus 154 on the money line, plus 130 on the Padres on the lone opener. I'm seeing at a total of 12. Over and under both at minus 110. If you're looking to lay a run half right now with the Cubs, that is about a plus 125. I want to see more openers come out. I set the Cubs at a minus 144, so we'll be willing to lay up to minus 143 there. Plus 145 or better will trigger a play for me on the Padres. The wind is going to be blowing out about 12 to 15 miles per hour, so big time winds, but even with that, 12 is just too high of a total. I set my total at 10.9 for Shota Imanaga. Less than savory run recently. 4+ runs allowed in 4 out of his last 6 starts. Overall for the season, he's been a little bit better, but and you do have to have question marks with him giving up well over a home run and a half per 9 innings. His swing and miss stuff, it's better than it was a season ago, but still, for Shota Imanaga, strikeout per 9 rate is right now hovering right around about 8.6 while giving up 2.3 walks per 9 innings, so 487 fielding. Depending to go that 440, you're in Griffin Canning. He has just gotten canned this far this season. His ERA is up right around about a 7.38. His fielding dependent is quite a bit better at about a 5.43. That's not really saying much. 5.5 walks per 9 innings, 1.7 home runs per 9, but he is backed up by a bullpen that is number 2 in the big leagues in terms of ERA. It's not just Mason Miller, by the way. Like Yuki Matsui, Jason Adam, these guys have been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. Wandy Peralta is below a 2 ERA. You've had a lot of guys around in form. You've been able to get a little bit more recently out of Adrian Morejon as well. Problem for the Padres, they're dead sinking last in terms of run creation. You do have 15 home runs out of Manny Machado, but he's hitting a 188. Xander Bogaerts, Jackson Merrill, Rodolfo Duran, Freddie Fermin, so many guys hitting at 230 or lower for this team. And Fernando Tatis Jr., believe that he's now at 3 home runs, has been able to give you 350 on base, but just need a little bit more pop there. And then for the Cubs, they are in the upper half of the big leagues in terms of total run creation, but you've got Alex Bregman and Ian Happ right now leading the big leagues in terms of men stranded on base. Preker Armstrong has been great, 17 plus home runs, 365 on base. Michael Busch is giving you about a 370 on base, and then just a hodgepodge of different guys between about a 325 to, we're going to call it a 362 on base. Miguel Amaya, Carson Kelly, the 2 catchers, Michael Conforto, Seiya Suzuki, Alex Bregman. So, you just go down the list in the day, and Steve Swanson, 15 RBI in 2 games, but he hasn't done anything for the rest of the season. Cubs are also now dealing with a whole bunch of bullpen injuries as Riley Martin, Phil Matone, Daniel Palencia, Hopi Milder all on the injury list, but Trent Thornton, along with Jacob Webb, Brian Rolson, guys who have been able to give you a sub-350 ERA. So, interesting circumstance here. Minus 143 or better looking at the Cubs, plus 145 or better the Padres, and then this total of 12, like it to the under, semi-total of 10.9, so anything of 11 plus in on the under. 957, 958 on the card. The Marlins are on the road against the Rockies. Sean Sullivan gets a start for the Rockies. Sandy Alcantara goes for the Marlins, and the Marlins do find themselves at minus 122 as favorites, plus 104 on Colorado. 11.5 is the total. Under is minus 120 over is even, and I do like that under. I semi-total at an 11.4 for Sandy Alcantara. He's getting fewer than 7 strikeouts per 9 innings, but he's still doing a good job in terms of keeping things out in front of him. 401 ERA, 395 fielding dependent, 1 home run, 2.2 walks allowed per 9 innings, and there's just no trusting in Sean Sullivan. 825 ERA in his 3 starts. In his 3 starts, he's given up 3 home runs. Even at AAA Albuquerque, which I recognize it's a PCL, places in elevation, what have you, a 5.6 ERA. Just not a guy that's really knocking my socks off. And you do have a Colorado Rockies team that's been able to round into form with regards to their offense. And ironically enough, Hunter Goodman is hitting below 200 at home, and away from home, he's hit like 18 home runs this season. He's got actually a reverse split. Pretty much everyone else on the roster hit significantly better at home rather than away from home, and you've been able to get quite a bit of production out of Mickey Moniak. Just came off the injury list, double-figure amount of homers for he and TJ Romfield, and both of these guys have been able to hit above a 265 for the team. You've been able to get some relatively good production out of Troy Johnson as well. He's been hitting above a 300. They just called up Cole Carrick. He's been able to give you 3 home runs in a few games, and he's hitting right around about a 270. Willie Castro has been able to move lines, so the offense has been relatively fine, but this bullpen is in the bottom 5 in terms of ERA. Antonio Sensatella, still sub 350 ERA. He's starting to regress. I actually like what I've seen out of John Brebbia in a small sample size, but then you've got Juan Mejia along with Victor Vodnik, a whole bunch of guys. They're posting up an ERA above a 450. Jaden Hill was, but they placed him on the injury list. Honestly, not a bad thing for this team. And then on the other end, for the Miami Marlins, this is a top 6 team in terms of bullpen ERA. The likes of John King, Lake Bakar, Calvin Fauché, Michael Peterson, great name. These guys have all been able to go out there, give you a sub 350 ERA. Pete Fairbanks has been a roll of the dice, but that's it for the Miami Marlins. They've had the best record in all of baseball in the month of June, even with their top home run hitter, Liam Hicks, being on the injury list. Like, night in, night out, they don't have a single guy in the starting lineup that's giving you over 10 home runs this season, and you've got quite a few guys like Graham Pauley, Griffin Conine, Leo Jimenez that have been hitting below a 225 this season, but Joe Mack is starting to pick it up. Kyle Sowers continues to disappoint a little bit. Jacob Marcy doesn't hit for a lot of average, but he swipes a lot of bags, and you've got a guy like Xavier Edwards that hits just below a 300. Otto Lopez has been hitting just above a 300. They become sort of the Southeast version of the Milwaukee Brewers, and I think that they get the job done here. Like the Marlins on the money line, set them at a minus 184. I like the under, semi-total 11.4. 959, 960 on the card. The Giants are going to be on the road against the Diamondbacks. Eduardo Rodriguez goes for the Saints, and Tyler Mahle for the San Francisco Giants. It's on games 8.5. Overs minus 115 to minus 120. Unders even to minus 105. The Diamondbacks are minus 130 to minus 140 favorites. Plus 115 to plus 120 is that number on San Francisco. And I do like the Diamondbacks here. I did set them at a minus 153. Now, I do think that we're going to see some regression here from Eduardo Rodriguez. This is just not sustainable. 227 ERA, but a 406 fielding dependent, 6.6 strikeouts, 3.6 walks per 9 innings, keeping the ball in the yard, giving up less than 1 home run per 9 innings. It's a Giants team that's right around about 17th in the league in terms of road run creation, which is much better than like that they're a bottom 6 team at home with about 3.75 runs per game at home, but something to be mindful of there. And for Tyler Mahle, there's just not a lot of trusting him, because even though I do think that Eduardo Rodriguez is doing for a little bit of regression, Tyler Mahle, 5.49 ERA, 1.6 home runs, 3.8 walks per 9 innings, and you've got a bullpen with an ERA that is 18th at a 4.30, so that's been a little bit of an issue for this team. And then you've got a just Giants team in general that has been a little bit up and down with regards to that bullpen, with Caleb Killian starting to have some really, really rough outings. You've had Eric Miller posting up an ERA well above a 4. They've been dealing with some injuries. You've got Yo Picaro back on the injury list, so that's been a big-time problem for the team. And for the years in the Diamondbacks, the bullpen's actually been pretty solid. Paul Sewald is not necessarily a trustworthy closer, but Ryan Thompson, Juan Murillo, Taylor Clark, Jonathan Loaizaga, Kevin Ginkel, a whole bunch of guys give you a sub-325 ERA. Problem for the Diamondbacks is their power numbers have been down. For this Diamondbacks team, you've got Ketel Marte of the Marte Parte up to 15 home runs. He's been with about a 260 or so. Kobe Carroll, he's up to 13 home runs, about a 360 on base. 1-2 guys have been able to give you over 8 home runs. You've seen Nolan Arenado really regress along with Ilyarmo Vargas as the season has went along, but for Vargas, Geraldo Perdomo, Jose Fernandez, these are all guys hitting between, we're going to call it about a 245 to a 255. You've been able to have Ryan Walshman in a small sample size be okay. Lourdes Gurriel, when he's been out there, has been rough. He and Adrian Del Castro both hitting below 220, but I really do think that they're going to be able to get to Tyler Mahle. I think that Rodriguez doing for some regression. And for the Giants, while you don't necessarily have great power numbers, you've been able to have a lot of guys move line. Bryce Eldridge starting to regress a little bit, but he's still hitting above a 265 for the team. Jung-Ho Lee has been hitting above a 300 along with Luis Arias. Matt Chapman has been looking a little bit better as well, up to about a 330 on base. Rafael Devers, he's up to 12 plus home runs, still about a 300 on base. William Adames, 14 home runs, again, 275 on base, but you've also been able to have one of your young guns in Victor Barracoto have a really nice stretch of things as well. So do like the over sub my total at a 9.2, and for the Diamondbacks, willing to lay the money line, set them at a minus 153. 961, 962 on the card. The White Sox are on the road against the Orioles. Wizard of Oz, Shane Baz goes for Baltimore, and got Sean Burke on the bump for the White Sox. White Sox do find themselves as underdogs between plus 110 to a plus 115, minus 124 to minus 135. That number on the Orioles, and you've got a total anywhere between 8.5 and 9. On the 8.5, you're finding that over juice at a minus 125, under is plus 105. On the 9, the under is minus 115, over is minus 105, and I'm going to be in on the White Sox. I set them at a minus 107. I've really liked what I've seen out of Sean Burke this season. He's been able to cut down on the walks. He still is overall posting up about a 371 ERA. The fielding dependent is right on par with that. 1.1 home runs allowed per 9 innings, 9 punch-outs per 9, but he's been better away from home. 306 ERA away from home, and he's supported by a bullpen that, it hasn't been amazing, but it's actually a little bit better than that of the Orioles. The Orioles are 19th in terms of bullpen ERA at a 4.35. Andrew Kittredge, Keegan Aiken, these guys just have not been trustworthy. Over a 5 ERA out of both of those guys, and then some of these, shall we say, mix and match guys have not been great. And Ryan Helsley, since coming off the injury list, just has not been himself as well. He has seen his ERA balloon above a 4, and for the White Sox, I recognize it's Serenity Dominguez. Not necessarily the Mona Lisa Vito of pitching, but still, you've been able to get some relatively good production on these guys, like a Sean Newcomb, Grant Taylor have been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. You've had Brian Hudson be really good out of this bullpen as well. Brandon Eisert, not necessarily so great, but also for the White Sox, I just like this lineup even more. Even with Montaki Murakami on the injury list, you've been able to have Colson Montgomery be able to provide a ton of power. 20 home runs, weighing about a 221 with a 314 on base, but supplies that boom. And then Miguel Vargas, 366 on base, 19 home runs. And Sam Antonasi, while he doesn't give you a lot of power, double-figure amount of stolen bases, 390 on base. You need a little bit more out of the catcher spot, but Kyle Teal coming off the injury list should be able to help out with that. Tristan Peters, Chase Meadroth, between about a 342 to 345 on base. And it's an Orioles team that's averaging darn near 5 runs per game at home themselves. Gunnar Henderson has been able to lead the way along with Pete Alonso of the power department. Henderson, 16 home runs, Pete Alonso, 19. And for Alonso, up to about a 340 on base. Henderson, though, just a 291 on base, 221 average. You expect a little bit more there. Some of these guys like a Kobe Mayo, Tyler O'Neill towards the bottom of the lineup, Jackson Alday, you're going to need a little bit more there, though. Samuel Basayo, Leody Taveras, they've been guys move the line hitting about a 250. Blaze Alexander, when he's been out there, has been pretty solid as well, but do have a lot of question marks here with Shane Baz. Even though he's only giving up about 0.9 home runs per 9 innings this season, he has been posting up a 4.31 ERA because the swing and miss stuff is down, 7.8 strikeouts, also giving up 3.5 walks per 9 innings. I think that the White Sox get to him mostly seeing 9 on the total, semi-total at 8.6. I think that Burke goes out there, gets the job done. You may have an opener before Sean Burke as well. The White Sox have done quite a bit of that, so do like the under. I do like the White Sox here on the money line, made them the minus 107 favorite. 963, 964 on the card. It's the Tigers. They're going to be on the road against the Yankees. Ryan Weathers looks to weathers the storm, and you've got Casey Mize on the bump for the Tigers, and the Tigers do find themselves as a underdog here of anywhere between plus 120 to plus 130. Meanwhile, between minus 140 to minus 150 is the number on the Yankees. 8 is the total. Under is minus 110 to a minus 120. The over is between even and minus 110, and I'm going to be in on that under. I said my total is 7.7. Now for Ryan Weathers, he has really had a problem giving up the deep ball. He's up to about 1.7 home runs per 9 innings. He's given up 4+ runs in 3 out of his last 6 starts, and for Weathers, he is getting about 9.9 strikeouts per 9 innings, so I think that there might be a little bit of positivity with that 395 ERA, but it is a Yankees team that's also coming off of Sunday Night Baseball, so and that's have you very, very nervous. And for the Yankees, they just haven't generated a lot of offense. Prior to Sunday Night Baseball, they had scored just 24 runs in their last 10 games, so the Aaron Judge injury really starting to add up. You still have Ben Rice, who's been able to give you 22+ home runs, 365 on base. Cody Bellinger still giving you 365 on base, and then Paul Goldschmidt in that neighborhood about a 350 on base, but Spencer Jones is hitting less than a 225. Jazz Chisholm, he continues to get jazzy with his 225 average. Yasan Dominguez has just not found it at the big league level. The catcher spot has been rough, and for the Yankees, they're a little bit above average with regards to their bullpen ERA, but David Benner, along with Camilo Duvall, you expect a little bit more of them. Both have a ERA above a 325, and Tim Hill has been relatively awful. Brent Hendrick, Fernando Cruz, these two guys have been able to give you a sub 325 ERA, and for the Detroit Tigers, they're back to right around about league average in terms of their bullpen ERA, and recognize that they yacked away the game yesterday with Kenley Jansen, who's not trustworthy whatsoever, having a rough go of it, but likes of Kyle Finnegan and Tyler Holden have been able to give you a sub 335 ERA. Still dealing with the Birch Smith injury, but Jacob Waguespack has actually been solid for the Tigers. They're a bottom 8 team in terms of run creation, but Dylan Dingler continues to be tremendous, 18 home runs, hitting for about 330 on base. Spencer Torkelson is up to 13 home runs, but hitting below 215. Zach Short was so bad that they just had to DFA him, James Outman, Matt Vierling, Zach McKinstry. Got a lot of guys hitting below 225. You did have Wencio Perez, and he got injured by like an exercise band. Have had Kevin McGonigal along with Riley Green give you over 375 on base, but I just think that Casey Mize goes out there, gets the job done. 295 ERA, and even lower fielding dependent with 0.6 home runs, 2.2 walks per 9 innings. So I think that the Tigers get it done in a slog. I'm going to be willing to take them on the money lines at the Tigers at a minus 102, and I'm going to be in on this total to the under as well, semi-total at a 7.7. 965, 966 on the card. It is the Rangers. They are going to be on the road against the Guardians. We do know that Parker Messick is going to be on the bump for the Guardians. Right now, it is listed as old to be determined for the Walker, Texas Rangers, so this game is presently off the board, and according to Fangraphs, we are probably going to get a little bit of a piecemeal game. Right now, they are projecting Tyler Alexander along with Cal Quantrill as your main guys in this game, so I set the Guardians at a minus 146. Willing to lay up to a minus 145 there, plus 147 or better looking at the Rangers, and then set a total to where a 7.5 or less in on the over, 8 or higher to the under, made my total a 7.6. Let's have a Guardians team that ever since Jose Ramirez and company have gone out of the fold, they've been averaging fewer than 3.6 runs per game. Nice little bit of an outburst yesterday to be able to take down the Seattle Mariners, but man, you have to have a lot of question marks with all these guys out of the fold. Stephen Kwan has output himself as Gabriel Urias, Patrick Bailey, Engel out there in the outfield, David Fry, Reese Hoskins. All these guys are hitting at 215 or lower. Now, they get Chase the Lauder back on Sunday. That's going to be help you out a little bit. Not a ton of power, but about a 340 with regards to the on-base. And Khalil Watson, hey, to his credit, he's been able to above 275 this season. He's been moving the line along Travis Bazzana, but there's really not a lot of firepower with regards to home run power for this Guardians team. They're going to be relying upon pitching and pitching alone, and they're very fortunate that they've got a bullpen that has been in the top 10 in terms of ERA since May 1st. You've got Sean Armstrong running in for him. Tim Aaron, Eric Zabrowski, I'll give you a sub 350 ERA. Hunter Gaddis is below that as well. He had a very rough start to the season. Kate Smith, double-figure amount of saves, as a matter of fact, 20-plus saves this season, and I really like what I've seen out of Parker Messick thus far this season. He's got a 267 ERA. That strikeouts per 9 rate is right around about 9.5 or so. He's given up fewer than 2.8 walks per 9 innings as well. I've actually seen his ERA go up a little bit at home, but at home he's giving up less than 0.4 home runs per 9 innings, and for the Rangers, this continues to be a bottom 10 team in terms of total run creation. They've been better away from home, and you've had Corey Seager, Wyatt Langford come off the injured list, and I am for Langford especially. He's looked very good since coming off the injured list, and then you do have quite a few mix-and-match guys there doing an okay job getting on base. Jake Berger, Alejandro Zuna, don't call his name, Brandon Nimmo, between about a 252 to 262, and Berger has been your main guy, hitting between 13 to 14 home runs. And then Jock Peterson, 340 on base, got his 13th home run season yesterday. Josh Young, he's hitting about a 300, but still, it's been a shaky lineup. Now for the Rangers, they do find themselves in the top 12 in terms of bullpen ERA, and with them throwing a combination of Cal Quantrill alongside Alexander. This is going to be very much a bullpen game for them, but Alexander's been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. The Jacobs, Jacob Junis, Jacob Latz, they've both been very rock solid, and Cal Quantrill can lend a little bit of length. He's never really been a superb pitcher or anything like that, but he's a guy that's able to go out there, do his job. 3.31 ERA thus far this season, pitching to contact as per usual, 6.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, so do think they get a lower scoring game. 7.5 or less, like the over, 8 or higher to the under. For the Guardians, well, up to minus 145 on them, plus 147 or better, the Rangers. 967, 968 on the card. You've got the Minnesota Twins on the road against the Houston Astros. Peter Lambert is on the bump for the Astros. Sebby Matthews for the Twins. And the Twins do find themselves as a mid-tier underdog here, as you're going to be catching with them anywhere in that neighborhood of plus 116 to a plus 120, minus 129 to a minus 140 for the Houston Astros. 8.5 to 9 is a total on the 8.5. Over is minus 130, and the under is plus 110. On the 9, under is minus 120, and the over is even. And I did set my total at an 8.8, mostly seeing a 9, and I'm going to be taking a shot on the 9 to the under. Now, for the Minnesota Twins, bullpen has been no good, very bad, and terrible. They're in the bottom 3 in terms of bullpen ERA, but I do think that there's a little bit of positivity to him for Sebby Matthews. I haven't necessarily loved what I've seen out of him thus far this season, but last season he was getting a whole bunch of swings and misses. Last season, strikeouts per 9 rate was 10. That's down to 7.1 this season. I don't think that he's going to get back to a 10, but at the same time, I do think that improves a little bit. 4.56 ERA, 4.95 fielding dependent. He has been giving up 1.8 home runs per 9 innings, but 2 runs are fewer allowed, and now 3 out of his last 4 starts. He's really just been doomed by the deep ball in general, but I do think that there's a little bit of positivity against an Astros lineup that obviously you've got some big poppers in this lineup, as Yordan Alvarez has been able to give you over 425 on base, and he's supplying 25 home runs. Christian Walker, he's up to 18 plus home runs as well, and then you've been able to have someone like an Isak Paredes give you about a 345 on base. Jeremy Pena, not necessarily giving you a ton of power, but he's been able to find a way to be able to move the line as well, but it is a team that you're just looking at the bottom of the lineup. Some of these guys, like a Bryce Matthews, Jake Myers, Zach Cole, Zach DeZenzo, those outfielders, Cam Smith, only at 225 or lower without a lot of power. That's been an issue. Yunior Diaz, he's giving you only about a 270 on base, and Jose Altuve, it's very clear that he's not the guy that he once was for the Houston Astros. They're still a bottom 10 team in terms of opening area, but it has actually very much improved over the last few weeks with Josh Hader coming off the injury list. They are dealing with the injury to Bennett Sosa, but Stephen Oker, Brian King, they've been able to give you a sub 325 ERA. Anya de Los Santos, Brian Abreu, they continue to be awful, but AJ Blubaugh as a long guy has been much better as well. Flip side, you got a Minnesota Twins team that Yandres Gomez in a Twins uniform has a sub 350 ERA. I think that he's the only person in that bullpen that has a sub 350 ERA right now. Anthony Band has been better, but Andrew Morris, Taylor Rogers, Travis Adams, man, Cody Lawyerson, all these guys have been awful. It is a Twins team that is in the top 10 in terms of run creation. Byron Buxton has been incredible. 25 home runs, and he's been hitting darn near at 270. Josh Bell, over the last month or so, has been able to give you a north of 350 on base, so he's been improving as the season goes along. Cody Clemens, Brooks Lee, 13 to 14 home runs apiece, both hitting between about a 240 to 250 and then you've been able to have someone like a Trevor Lawrence move the line, give you about a 380 on base, but I do think that you're going to get a relatively solid start out of Peter Lambert. The big thing for Lambert is that he needs to stop giving out so many free passes. Right now, he's posting up an ERA that is a 3.28 with about 3.7 walks per 9 innings, but 8.5 bunch-outs per 9, 0.9 home runs per 9 innings with that revamped bullpen. I do think that the Astros get the job done. We'll lay up to minus 137 on the money line. Semi-total at an 8.8, so on the 9, I'm going to be in on the under. 969, 970 on the card. The Mariners are going to be playing us to the Angels as Ryan Johnson goes for the Angels, and George Kirby is on the bump for the Mariners. Mariners are very sizable favorites here. Minus 210 to minus 225. Meanwhile, plus 180 to plus 190. That number on the Halos. 7.5 to 8 is the total on the 8. Under is minus 120. The over is even on the 7.5. Over is minus 120. Under is even money. If you're looking at a lay run half right now with Seattle, that's between plus 105 to a minus 105. And I'm going to be willing to take a shot on the run line for Seattle. I'm willing to lay up to minus 117 on that run line. I recognize that George Kirby maybe doesn't have the world's lowest ERA, and his swing and miss stuff has been a bit down this season, but still he's been relatively effective. 336 fielding, dependent 394 ERA, 7.9 strikeouts, 2.2 walks per 9 innings. Well, give it up a career best 0.8 home runs per 9 innings. And then Ryan Johnson had a better start his last time out, but he just doesn't look ready for the big leagues. An 8.84 ERA, 631 fielding, dependent 2.3 home runs, 4.2 walks allowed per 9 innings. It makes what he did against Baltimore, giving up 1 hit and 6 shutout innings, just look absolutely insane. And you take a look at what he did at the minor league level, it was very clear that this guy should not have been called up to the big league level, as he was posting up down at the minor league level for the Salt Lake City affiliate about a 5.40 ERA. Only made 6 appearances at the minor league level this past season. Last season, when he was pitching at like the high A level, he was relatively solid. He's a young, like 23-year-old, so he just doesn't look ready at this point. And for the Angels, I mean, you just don't know what's going to be coming out of that bullpen. Like, they've already thrown Alek Manoah and guys like Nick Sandlin out of that bullpen that have over a 10 ERA thus far this season. They've been able to find a little bit more with Chase Silseth, giving you a sub 350 ERA. And I will say Kirby Yates, since coming off the Angels, has been relatively okay. Ryan Zefrian saw us over a 4 ERA. Samuel Natera has been able to give you a bit of something, but these veterans that they've been calling up have just been awful. And now you've got a team without Mike Trout, so the offense really suffers. Zach Neto is up over 15 home runs, but only 222 average, 318 on base. Olin Schudel's been able to give you 335 on base, and Denzar Guzman has been able to give you 330 on base. He had like 3 home runs in 3 games about a week or so ago, but I think that we're going to start to see a little bit of regression with some of these wily veterans like Jose Sirius starting to. Wade Meckler, he's looked relatively good in a small sample size, but I do think that the regression monster is coming for them. And then for the Seattle Mariners, Cal Raleigh has obviously been awful this year, hitting below the Mendoza line of 200, and they get J.P. Crawford off the Angels. His overall batting average is right around about a 225, but double-figure amount of homers. He's been able to give you over a 335 on base. You've had Julio Rodriguez do a solid job, give you a double-figure amount of homers. He's hitting about a 255. Randy Arozarena up to about a 370 on base. Dom Canzone, double-figure amount of bombs, 350 on base. And for the Seattle Mariners, they've been able to get some really good bullpen pitching, as well as you've had so many guys come in there, give you a sub-3 ERA like a Gabe Spire, Edward Bazardo. They are dealing with the injury to Matt Brash, but you still have been able to get good production up and down the boulevard out of these guys. And I do think that Andres Munoz is going to start to round into form as well, and I do think that the Mariners get the job done here in convincing fashion. Like the over-sub I told at 8.1, up to a minus 116 is what I'm willing to lay on that run line. 971, 972 on the card. The Mets are going to be on the road against the Blue Jays as Trey Yesavich is on the bump for the Jays and Sean Manaea for the Mets. The Metropolitans are even money to plus 110, minus 118 to a minus 130. That number on the Toronto Blue Jays, 8.5 is the total. Over is minus 110 to a minus 115. Under is minus 105 to a minus 110. And I'm in on the Jays. I set their money line price at a minus 158. Sean Manaea actually has not been as bad as the ERA would indicate. About 9.3 strikeouts, 3.1 walks per 9 innings, giving about a home run per 9 innings, but he's got an ERA well above a 4.25, and he's just not helped out by this lineup at all. For the New York Mets, right now they're averaging 3.7 runs per game away from home. That is 29th in all of baseball. Juan Soto's been great, over a 375 on base, 17 plus home runs, and you're starting to get a little bit more of some of these guys, like a Carson Benjay, like a Bo Bichette. These guys are in between about a 250 to 260, so that helps you out. Francisco Alvarez about a 249, but you're just still not getting a lot of home run power on these guys. Eric Wagaman, Ronnie Mauricio hitting below the middle sign of 200. Mark Vientos a 253 on base. You just need more out of these guys. And for the Mets, bullpen has actually been quite good. They've been a top 7 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Oscar Brisbane, AJ Minter, Brooks Raley, Austin Warren, Luke Weaver. So many guys give you a sub 325 ERA, but I just can't trust in the starting pitching. And then for Trey Savage, he has been giving up 4.5 walks per 9 innings, down a little bit with regards to the strikeout power, about 8.6 strikeouts per 9 innings, but still has been able to do a very nice functional job for this team, giving up only about 0.7 home runs per 9 innings. You do have Louis Varland along with Tyler Rogers in that bullpen, who will be a sub 250 ERA. Though Mason Flaherty overall for the season has an ERA that's well above a 3.25. He's been relatively solid recently. There's no trusting in Jeff Hoffman, Uriel Rodriguez, some of these longer guys, but even Tommy Nance has been okay. The big thing for the Blue Jays, they just need more power. Kazuma Okamoto, 19 home runs, hitting about a 240 this season. Lone guy on the roster with over 8 home runs. And the other guy is George Springer, who's missed like 20 plus games, 8 home runs, but he's only been able to hit about a 220 as well. Plenty of guys, though, moving the line. Flagger Jr., Jesus Sanchez, Ernie Clement, Yohendrick Pinago, only at 268 or better, but again, for Guerrero, need more than 4 home runs out of him. I do think that that's going to be coming sooner rather than later. Don't call his name. Alejandro Kirk is back off the injured list as well, so do think that the Blue Jays get the job done. What I think is going to be a nice low-scoring game. I do like the Blue Jays on the money line, set them at minus 158. I like the under. I did set my total here at a 7.6. 973, 974 on the card. The Nationals are going to be on the road facing off against the Boston Red Sox as Miles Michaelis is on the bump for the Nationals and Mr. Ranger Suarez goes for the Red Sox. Red Sox do find themselves as very sizable favorites here. Minus 190 to minus 195, seeing anywhere between plus 158 to a plus 165 on the Washington Nationals. And your total on this game is 8.5 to 9 on the 8.5, over is minus 120. The under is even on the 9. Under is minus 115, over is minus 105. And I'm going to be willing to take a shot here on the Nationals as long as I can get a plus 163 or better. Now, I recognize that for Miles Michaelis, things have been very shaky for him, to say the least, and he is pitching to a lot of contact right now. That said, I do think that he's going to be able to go out there and give you a relatively functional start against a Red Sox team that entered in the day on Sunday. Dead last in the big leagues in terms of run creation at home, only about 3.5 runs per game at home. Now, for the Red Sox, you've been able to get a little bit more out of some of these guys, and Wilson Contreras has been great. Wilson Contreras, 15 plus home runs, 375 on base, and then you've got Masataka Yoshida, Ceddanne Rafaela, along with Weiler Abreu. Guys hitting for about a 325 to a 335 on base. Connor Wong, whenever he's been out there, has been able to give you a little bit of something as well, but I mean, they're just really searching for answers because Caleb Durbin, even though he's hitting a little bit better right now, has just been a big disappointment for the team. Jared Nurin, double-figure amount of homers, but less than a 285 on base. Now for the Red Sox, this has been a supreme bullpen. They've been a top 6 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Garrett Woodlock is sub 3 ERA, and Aroldis Chapman, after that shakiness out there in Colorado, he's been able to find his form once again back down below a 2 ERA. Tyler Semenijo being on the injury list has been a little bit of an issue, but when you've had the likes of Tyron Guerrero, Zach Kelly out there, they've been able to give you a sub 350 ERA, so they've been able to do their part. Again, with Miles Michaelis, he's going to pitch you a whole bunch of contact in this game right now for Michaelis. 5.24 ERA, his fielding dependence right on par with that. 1.9 home runs, 2 walks per 9 innings, but only 5.1 strikeouts per 9 innings. Now with the Nationals as well, they've been throwing a lot of openers for Miles Michaelis, and if you do take a look at the splits between him being a starter versus coming in after an opener, it's actually been much better. In the 11 games that he comes in after an opener, 378 ERA, he's still giving up the deep ball, he's still giving up over 1.6 home runs per 9 innings, but as a starter, he was giving up over 2.5 home runs per 9 innings with an 8.28 ERA. And for the Washington Nationals, this has been a team that's been number 1 in the big leagues in terms of run creation with about 5.4 runs per game. They've been especially good against lefties this year. Against lefties, they're a top 2 team in terms of on base plus slugging. James Wood is able to give you good wood, 385 on base with 20 plus home runs. Luis Garcia is all of a sudden up to 16 home runs. He's hitting at 280. CJ Abrams, he's hitting at 275, 17 plus home runs. Dylan Cruz still hasn't lived up to his billing. He and Jacob Young need to give you a little bit more, but even Keibert Ruiz is hitting 275 for the Nationals. It is a rough bullpen. They're in the bottom 3 of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. PJ Poulin, who's oftentimes been an opener along with Richard Diggy Lovelady. These guys have been relatively okay for you. Sub 390 ERA out of them. Brad Lord as a long guy, he's been able to give you sub 350 ERA as well. You do have a roll of the dice with the likes of Mitchell Parker, Justin Lawrence and company, so that's been a less than tremendous. And for Ranger Suarez, he has been one of the best pieces for the Red Sox this far this season. He's gone out there and done his job time and time again. Again, a lefty though, that is going to hurt him. 283 ERA, fielding dependent more around about a 268, 0.4 home runs, 9.1 strikeouts per 9 innings. But I do think that for the Nationals, they get actually some relatively good production out of Miles Michaelis, and at a plus 164 or better, looking at that money line, I do like the 9 to the under, so if I tell it an 8.6, wrap things up with 975, 976. The Dodgers are on the road against the Athletics. Gauge jump goes for the Athletics. Eric Lauer is on the bump for the Dodgers. Dodgers. Dodgers relatively slim road favorites here. You're going to be finding them between minus 115 to minus 124, between even money to plus 108. That number on the Athletics, 10.5 is a total, over and under both the minus 110. I do like the under. I set my total at a 10.3. For Eric Lauer, the ERA is but much lower with the Dodgers rather than with the Toronto Blue Jays. Still has been giving up a lot of hard contact this far this season, as for Lauer, even in a Dodgers uniform, his home runs per 9 rate is about 1.6. It was 2.7 with the Blue Jays, and he's not getting a lot of strikeouts overall for the season, 5.8 strikeouts per 9 innings, so he has a 4.87 ERA, 6.18 fielding dependent. I think he's going to round into a little bit of better form. You've got an Athletics lineup that has Nick Kurtz along Shea Langolaris, both give you 19 home runs apiece, and for Kurtz, he's one of the best in the big leagues in terms of drawing walks. He's been able to give you a 425-ish on base. You've had Lawrence Butler be a little bit shaky at the bottom of the lineup, along with some of these other mix and match guys. Joey Meneses is not the answer for this team. Kobe Thomas is not either, but still, Henry Bolte, he's been able to about a 300. You've been able to get relatively good production as well of Carlos Cortez. He's been dealing with a little bit of injury, but he's been able to step up from time to time for this team. And then all of a sudden, Aquila Williams has been able to move the line. Not necessarily a ton of power, but like what I'm seeing there for the Athletics, it has been a team that's been in the bottom 8 in terms of bullpen ERA as well. Luis Medina, Jose Suarez are long guys that both give you above a 4 ERA. Justin Sterner, Elvis Alvarado, they've been really regressing recently. Jeff Hartlieb is a recent addition for the team. He's been solid along with Mason Barnett. They've both been able to give you a sub 330 ERA, but for the Dodgers, they are going to have the much better bullpen in this game, as Edgar Enriquez back below a 350 ERA. He's looking solid. Kyle Hurt, Will Klein, Tanner Scott, these have been guys that have been pretty solid in the bullpen. Klein and Scott below a 325 ERA. Hurt more around about a 371 ERA, but even Alex Vesia has been able to give you some good innings. And for the Dodgers, they lead all of baseball in terms of road scoring. They're giving you about 6 runs per game. Shohei Ohtani up to 17 home runs at over a 4 base. And then the likes of Max Muncy, Andy Paz, Freddie Freeman, all between 13 to 16 home runs, allowing at least 263 with regards to the average. Other than Paz, the other two guys have been able to give you at least a 360 on base as well. And for Gage Jump, he's looked really good in his first 3 starts at the big league level, and I think that he's going to be the real deal here for the Athletics, but do fear that reality might set in a little bit, and he's been great. 8.9 strikeouts to 2.5 walks per 9 innings in 6 starts, has yet to be taken deep in 35 and a third innings, but play a dangerous game out there in Sacramento, and I just think that the overall depth of the Dodgers is able to get it done here. So the Dodgers at a minus 128, like their money line. I do like the under. I set my total at a 10.3, and that'll wrap things up for the Monday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Big thanks to our guy, William Boor, over at Action Network, for joining me in the last segment. If you do like hearing from this fine podcast, Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of 2 ways we offer those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, letters CM, they mean does not matter, so per usual, please do send these into the timeline. And the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. Then from there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. I'm with you guys every single day, give you picks and analysis on every game, every day. So I will be with you guys once again tomorrow. Thank you.